Good afternoon, everyone. Over these past few weeks, the entire city of Chicago has been able to enjoy the welcome reopening of many of our businesses and public spaces since we entered Phase 3 of our reopening framework. That includes today's partial reopening of our lakefront and the 606 Trail. It's because of the shared commitment and sacrifice of all Chicago residents and businesses that we're able now to safely take the next step. I'm very pleased to announce that Chicago will be transitioning into Phase 4 of our reopening plan starting this Friday, June 26, with new guidelines. First, while we will be maintaining a limit on indoor capacity at 25%, we are expanding the size of permitted gatherings. Indoor gatherings may now go from 10 to 50 individuals, and outdoor gatherings may increase from 50 to 100 individuals. Second, we'll be opening the following industries and subsectors with restrictions earliest in Phase 4. For the first time since they were forced to close back in March. I'm happy to announce that that includes our museums and zoos, performance venues and movie theaters, summer camps and youth activities, indoor use of restaurants and bars, as announced last week. Unfortunately, because of where we are in the arc of the virus, industries that require very large gatherings, such as spectator sports and conventions, will at this time remain closed in the city of Chicago. All the new steps and detailed guidelines related to Phase 4 are available online right now at chicago.gov/reopening. And I encourage everyone to visit this site because it is the best place to learn about the latest information for both employees and employers, as well as for every Chicagoan wanting to know what to expect when they leave their home. This is important because we'll continue to make updates on our guidelines throughout Phase 4, depending on the data of this disease. It's also important because the guidelines for Phase 4 in Chicago are different from the rest of Illinois, and they're different for a reason. We have been working closely with the state throughout this entire process. The challenges Chicago faces in safely navigating this crisis are unique and different from the rest of the state for reasons you'd expect. We're denser, more residents take public transit, and we're an international air hub. That is why anyone who is in Chicago must remember to follow the Chicago-specific guidelines. I want to reiterate something I said when we entered Phase 3. Under no circumstances should our move to Phase 4 be confused with this crisis being over. COVID-19 is still very much part of our presence in Chicago, and it will be for the foreseeable future. And we want to also emphasize that having a resurgence in cases is more than a risk. It is a very real possibility if we, meaning you, don't do everything possible to follow the guidance and minimize the risk of a resurgence. That means social distancing. That means wearing a face covering when you go outside. That means following all the hand hygiene rules that we have emphasized since March when this virus really hit the city of Chicago with full force. Now, as you can see from this slide that's up right now, every single zip code in Chicago saw new cases of COVID-19 just last week. Every single zip code. And while we're trending down, this map shows how other places are trending up. And we need to make sure we keep moving in the right direction down and not unfortunately, suffer the fate of many states in the South and the Southwest that are trending up with new cases, new records, and cases and deaths being announced every day. That is not what we want to be the story of Chicago. But again, that depends on all of you following the guidance. We've been following these surges in other cases with great concern. And if it happens here, We will not hesitate to take the necessary steps to keep COVID-19 from rapidly spreading here again. And such steps include moving us back to phase 3. Now, this is why I want to emphasize the importance of continuing to wear face coverings, physically distancing when meeting others, as well as continuing to wash your hands regularly. Meanwhile, anyone who is sick still must stay at home. Don't try to be a hero. If you're ill, you must stay home, as well as anyone who's come into contact with somebody who has COVID-19. And those who have COVID-19-like symptoms must immediately reach out to a healthcare provider. Our job now is to be safe. In order to be safe, we have to follow the guidance. And Chicago's businesses have been doing a good job in ensuring we do so. I want to commend those of you that have not only been adhering to our public health guidelines, but finding creative ways to continue operating while still remaining safe. It's this service and sacrifice made by you and countless other Chicagoans from every corner of our city and every walk of life that has allowed us to safely reach the point where we are now. It includes the incredible work done by our healthcare professionals, first responders, essential workers who have cared for our residents in a time of great need. They have kept our city running. And again, we can't say enough to thank them, along with the work of thousands of others who have stepped up for their communities during this time of need. And that's in addition to all the Chicagoans who did their part by staying home and saving lives. Everything that we've done to this moment has been a direct result of your hard work and sacrifice, which has not only saved thousands of lives in Chicagoans over these past 3 months, it really helped lay the groundwork for the transformative recovery that will follow. So I want to make sure again that we emphasize we are taking this step because of the hard work and sacrifice of so many. The only way we continue to move through phase 4 and into another place is if we continue to be smart and selfless in making sure that we follow the various guidelines. And now I'll invite Dr. Arwady to provide further details on our where we are in our city's health metrics and why we are taking these cautious steps forward and not just throwing open the barn door and letting anything go.